Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to work with these materials and I'm going to talk about something very random I have been thinking about the past few days. That is the idea of time, healing, and originality, which are all very different ideas. So basically, what I want from this is these are old notes that my grandfather gave me. Old, when I say old notes, these have all the notes in them, mostly all the notes, and this is the kind of outcome that I want. So this with an old note, right? Piche ka is brown, muted, very nice, and then center me there's something that looks very pretty being framed. Now I have these very old frames with me that I'm going to use for this project, and of course the notes. Now, I keep saying notes, notes, but I'm just showing you the envelope, so let me open it up and show you what it actually has. So this is a 1 rupee note, a 2 rupee note, which is also very beautiful, 10, 20, these are the regular notes, 100, 200, 500, Purana 10, Purana 20, Purana 50, and Purana 100. Of course, Purana 500 and 2000 was not arranged, you know why. So basically, what I want to frame are these two notes, or even one. I wouldn't mind either both of them or even one being framed. I just want it to look very pretty. Okay, that's the goal. Okay. So my plan of action is going to be removing these, then covering the back with a nice color or maybe a plain backdrop, and then place these. Okay, I'll have to see which way I can place them. Okay. Okay. First of all, let's move on to the conversation that I want to have with you all. Yes, I also just got reminded of how I could use these for the backdrop. So these are just swatches, but I made some um, postcards with block prints that I with block printing using the blocks that I bought at Janpath and in Jaipur as well. Now again, I'll have to recheck the size of this if it will fit. Okay, it fits quite well. Yeah. So if I like these, I'll use these. But yeah, coming back to what I want to talk about, the idea that time heals everything is kind of questionable to me, because if you take that into account, then time heals everything, including the things that perhaps you don't want to be healed over, right? So, say for example, something that you don't want to be healed over, because what is healing, right? Healing is just memories forming over previous memories of yours, and in doing so, a lot of times we forget the things that we want to remember very desperately, right? So maybe time healing everything is not so good after all. But yeah, that's just a random idea that I had. Um, yeah, so for example, the past few weeks, and especially obviously, I feel like this has been very common with some of the people that I have spoken to in my generation, the people who are my age, they face a lot of amnesia in their life, like they forget a major chunk of their lives, especially their childhood, which first and foremost is not normal. And a lot of times I find these people talking about it as if it is normal, and it's not actually a neurological and psychological condition. But I guess when it is so, it is not talked about enough and not represented enough, people would end up thinking that it is normal, and that kind of makes sense. But then again, this feeling of amnesia and not and not remembering a major chunk of your life, seems very troubling, especially as somebody who is actively studying psychology. It truly fears me to think that most of the people that I know are forgetting a huge chunk of their lives. And I say that because it includes me. I too have forgotten a major chunk of my life. And although it is sad, I do think that I have saved myself quite a good amount of trouble in remembering a lot of these things, because some of these things were very difficult to, sort of process. And every time these memories came back to me, I would feel sorry for myself and I would feel very, very sad. So, knowing that some of these memories not being with me uh, is actually doing good to me, I don't think I have such a huge problem with it. Right? This sort of amnesia that we are all facing, perhaps it serves a major purpose, right? And this is what the purpose is: protecting you from major trauma re-entering in your life, right? Basically, what I'm trying to say is that there is this this idea that some things only pop up when you're not trying to, actively think of them. And one of them includes like your childhood memories. So for example, you are speaking to some this I'm only talking about this because it happened with me as well. I was talking to somebody about their childhood and their childhood memories, and then suddenly I remembered something that I did not know I was capable of remembering. I had no idea that it was saved up somewhere inside my head, because every time I'm trying to think of happy memories, it does not show up. But when I was speaking to this person and they actively, sort of um, made my engines run, I immediately thought of it. And I realized that it is inside me somewhere, fond memories of my childhood that I don't think I have. Maybe I have them. So yeah, that the idea of still remembering something that you forgot you did, it's very sweet. And again, the idea that time heals everything, the fact that you some way or another lose your childhood, your childlike wonder in, you know this healing, so-called healing. You you sort of you grow up, when these things happen. And to me, that's sad, because I don't want to grow up so much that I forget something that I always thought I was going to keep with me forever. So yeah, I guess there is a certain ache in remembering something that you are not in touch with anymore. And yeah, I think that's really sad. But again, there's this melancholy in talking about the things that you feel are sad and not shedding one tear. Feels different. Also, one thing that I want to talk about is the idea that forgetting things means that you are being forgetting things in the realm of art means that you are being more original with your art. So I recently watched this sort of short film slash documentary of a poet. I haven't watched it fully though, full disclosure. I just watched, I think, half of it, and it's called Char Phool Hai Aur Duniya Hai. And it's mostly just this man, the poet, and his grandson talking about his poetry and their worldview. And his grandson at one point said that when we forget something, he said, I tend to forget things a lot, but I think when you forget things and you are constant and are not constantly thinking about something or the other to reference, you you are more in touch with originality than you will ever be. So the idea of being unique in your pursuit of art, the idea of maulikta, the idea of originality, uniqueness in art can only come from forgetting things. for getting some sort of reference idea, for getting some sort of, who made this and who gave this idea and who gave this theory. That really pleased my mind. That is why I want to mention it. And yeah, I think I'm almost done with this as well. So yes, this looks very pretty. I'm very happy with this. Okay, it's not centered. Now it is. Pretty. Do I want to do the same thing with the 1 rupee? Maybe I do. Okay, I'll do that as well. I think being an artsy person really gives you a lifetime. Being an artsy person in your teenage gives you a lot of um, leverage across your life. I think because you did a lot of the things that people are doing now at, say in their 20s, that you did already when you were, say, 12, 13, 14. And that is why people think that you are an exceptional artist. I think sometimes this is what I feel whenever people tell me that you're a great poet, or you write so well, or you make such good art. I just think I have a standard response to that, and that response is that I had a quicker head start than you, right? I had a head start. That is my idea. That's my answer to these things. Even though I take the compliment, I do end up, a lot of times I end up thinking it to myself, and sometimes I say it to the person complimenting me as well, that I just had a head start. I got to practice a lot sooner than you did, and that is the sole reason why, perhaps according to me, the sole reason why I can make things better than you can, because I developed that instinct sooner, right? You had to start from scratch at 20, but I did not. I had that instinct in me when I was 14 and looking through ragged YouTube videos the entire day. So I think, yeah, again, the entire idea of somebody being a better artist than you are is very questionable to me. I don't like it. Of course, there are great artists, but you must not compare art. Art is not to be compared. Everything is different. Art is like art is like human beings. Rather, human beings are like art. One must not be compared with another. Okay, I cannot get the whole thing off, but I am quite satisfied with this, so we'll go like this. So yeah, that is my take on, yeah, why I started the whole Head Start art situation conversation was because I use these for both the frames, for actually all three of these frames, and what these are not just normal random brown paper. This is actually coffee soaked paper that I made when I was like 15 or 16, and I made so many of these that I still have them, and I use them however I please. So yeah, life gives you a head start. I did not have to buy any of these materials because I already had them, because I already made them sooner than any of you did. And I think that's the beauty of, and because at that point when I made these, I felt there's no way I'm going to use them, all of them at least, right? But I ended up keeping them, and now I'm using them for these. I don't think 16-year-old me would have known that I would use them for these frames. So, point being, you should always do things without knowing what's going to turn out with them. Do things in the moment, live in the moment. Don't think about the future too much. I'm very happy with the both of these. Thank you for watching this video. Bye bye.